Thank you, everyone.
Wow, there's a lot of pressure now. Well, thanks to Nomensa for graciously inviting me to speak to all of you. This is actually the third time I've been to Bristol. First time was 30 years ago to look at a university. Second time was at a rap concert last week. No, actually last year, sorry, December last year. And then this is the third time, so talking to you guys. Wow. Right, what am I going to talk about today? Actually, got to do one thing. Have you got a clicker? Yes. Is that it?
It might not work very well.
Okay. So I just first clarify one thing. My name's not Jeremy.
I'm so sorry.
So if you want to talk to me after, my name's Teak. Right, so I'm going to talk about friction. So what does that mean? Oh, well, there's friction because all guys will probably all want to go for drinks now. But anyway, conflict or animosity caused by a clash of wills and temperance and opinions. Pressure, a sense of urgency, a sense of stressful urgency caused by having too many demands on one's time or resources. So this talk's all about reducing friction and easing pressure on modern design teams today. First, a little bit about me. Does anyone know where that is?
Hong Kong.
Oh, great. At least you're there some life. Hong Kong. So that is Hong Kong, but that is the old airport. So when you used to go to Hong Kong, you used to fly in and clip the top of skyscrapers. Does anyone know where that is? Bournemouth. Poole. So it's a quiet seaside town, which is where I was born and grew up. Sometimes called God's waiting room. So this for me is a clash of cultures, and there's a lot of friction when I was growing up because it's like, okay, I'm straddling two worlds. How many people straddle two worlds now? So it's quite a common thing, right? Right. Another thing. Who knows about the Asian dream? Do you know what the Asian dream is? Be a doctor or a lawyer. But actually, I was no good at maths. I was no good at science. I was no good at, I don't know what I was no good at, or a lot of other things. But I loved comics, I loved movies, and I love art. So I decided to become a designer. I don't have those glasses anymore, by the way. Right. So I became a designer. And what happened? Well, I started doing graphic design, print design. And what happened? Computers came in. Everyone was saying, computers are taking over the industry. They're going to kill our jobs. Does it sound quite relevant now? And for me, I embraced it because I thought it was brilliant. Because I did, back then, I'm showing you how old I am now, right? Back then, you had to do hand artwork, and you had to use a scalpel. Do you know what? You had to cut things out, stick them down. So I was happy not to do that because I was shit at it. And you know what happened? When I first went to Hong Kong, my first job was you have to go and do hand artworking. And you know why? Because there were no Chinese fonts at the time. Because Chinese fonts, there's 15,000 characters. Latin fonts, like the English alphabet's only 300. So actually, I think Colin said one thing: you need to keep your old skills updated. You need to keep them. All right. Let's talk about this. This is quite topical because they're showing a double bill of Bruce Lee films here. So boards don't hit back. This is a scene from Enter the Dragon. So Bruce Lee's standing up against a intimidating opponent. He's bigger than him. Comes over, hits a board, and Bruce Lee's like, boards don't hit back. And that resonated with me because through my career, through growing up, any challenges or obstacles, these were opportunities. These were points of friction, but they were opportunities to actually embrace different things, move to different paths. All right, fast forward, late 2019. Does anyone know what Sky is? Do you know Sky? Yeah. Broadcast entertainment company. They look after news, sport, set-top boxes, satellite dishes, streaming. So what happened? So late 2019, you had separate product design teams all around Sky. And then, boom, within 1 month, they all joined together and added in new capabilities. We added design ops and systems, industrial design, inclusion and equity, IXD, which are creative technologists and prototypers, all combined together. And why did that happen? Because, oh, 1 second. We wanted to look at the whole product design journey from hardware to software design. So you wanted to bring it all in-house. But there was a big pressure moment which happened. Big pressure moment happened because you've got all of these design teams joining together, you're going from small teams of 16 to a big team of 100 people. And it's like, oh shit, what are we gonna do? We've got different processes, we work in different ways, how do we bring them all together? So I got the chance to apply for a role for the design systems and operations team. Now, I naively stood up in front of a whole team of 100 designers and said, I'm going to make the delivery of design magically easy. And I had no bloody idea what I was doing. I never ever, I knew that it's all about process. I knew it's about people. I had no idea. So what does every good designer do? They say, they steal. They steal, right? Good stealing is taken from many sources. So what's the first thing I did? I looked online. What does design operations do? And it's all about people, practice, and platforms. So this is for a framework by Kristen Skinner, who originated the term design operations. And what does it mean? So people, it's all about the culture of the team. How do you bring all these different people together? Collaboration. All right, we've talked a lot, like Vanessa, Letty, Coyote talked a lot about how do you build collaboration and communication. Tools and things. These are the things that help you do your work better, faster, quicker. So let's focus on collaboration first. The work of working together, because it takes a lot of work. People are hard work. People are hard work. I think as we noticed, like it's all about you sometimes have to hold stuff back, right? So, right. So where does collaboration sit? It sits in between collision and coexistence. Coexistence, too little contact. Who's there? Who's there? Who gets their heads down? Who likes to be heads down in the craft? There's a few people here. And then there's collision, too much contact. So you're in my face. You're in my face. You want to have a meeting all the time. Now I was talking to Paul from Nomensa last night. He was saying first thing in the morning, he says, I want to have my headphones on because I got to focus. But we also, actually, Nis and I, we were also saying, what's the signal to say I can speak to you? Yeah. So it's the act of working with someone to produce something. So you need to have that balance. Right. First thing, I heard this phrase today, them and us. This happens a lot. Right. Who's heard this before? Who's heard this before? Who's heard this before? Isn't it a trigger, right? We become a pair of hands, whereas we see ourselves, designers see themselves as innovators, explorers, going out there to try and find ideas and create ideas. And we get triggered, and we go into 4 modes. Does anyone know this? Like preacher. So you become a preacher because you go, look, my idea's right. You need to follow it. You need to follow my process. You're not doing it right. Or you become a prosecutor. You're trying to disapprove somebody else's idea. You're saying their role is wrong. The way they're doing it's terrible. Or you become a politician. You go, right, everyone, come to me. Their stuff is rubbish, isn't it? But actually, you need to be a scientist. You need to what do you need to do? You need to have a little bit of empathy for what's going on. I think Coyote talked about it, which is like you have to empathy, understand what's going on in their brains, what's going on in their lives, what's going on in their world. To do that, have we explained enough? Right, spot the difference. Spot the difference. Oh, I know you guys are a bit tired. Yeah. So, this is the typical product design model, like the three-legged stool. Have you all heard that before? Three-legged stool. Engineering, product, and design combine together to make great product experiences. This is the one at Sky, which was engineering, product, and delivery. Now, delivery is really important, but if you're missing design, the optics of it, this is what happens. So this is a quote from Kate Flood. She's a product design director at Sky, and she did this talk. She called it Speaking the Same Language, and it was design are often seen as art workers and colouring in the ideas if you're not part of the optics of a three-legged stool. So she said, be a squeaky wheel, be a bit annoying. So when you're seeing meetings happening and there's no design in there, so like be a bit annoying. Say, excuse me, come on, my designers need to be there. So actually, with a lot of her squeaky wheeling, she managed to add another leg. So we've got a four-legged stool now. I mean, sometimes it gets chopped off a little bit, so you have to keep doing it. Right, get your head up and out. And I think we talked a little, again, building on what people said this week. So design. This is our world, right? So this is your team. So who's your team? Who do you think your team is? Do you think it's your designers? The designers you work with? Your stakeholders? Yeah, you're almost there. Developers? No? Well, actually, your team are your peers outside of your team because you need to build the connections, right? And it's a bit messy, right? It's the work of working together. It's so messy. It's like, okay, I've got to talk to product. Who's connected to who? But they're your peers. You need to have those one-to-ones. You need to have those coffees. You need to have those water cooler chats. I mean, it's difficult if you're hybrid working because you don't get that anymore. So trying to schedule a Teams call can be a nightmare, right? It's like, oh, let's have a quick coffee Teams call. Oh, I'm available in 3 months' time. It's transactional. Right. Oh, this is the classic one, right? We have to go to MVP again, and this is the point of this is friction. Now, has anyone seen this diagram before? This diagram. So it's about understanding business, and desirability is where we sit, right? So we're designing product experience and that customers would love, we would love. But if you don't have the KPIs, ROIs, OKRs, profit and loss, who switched off actually? Yeah, when you start talking about the language of business, the design of business, you go, oh. I mean, did anyone have a class of that at uni or college? No, everyone was like, they might have been on the list, just like, oh, I'm not learning that shit. And then there's the feasibility part, which is like, can we build it? Is the technology ready yet? So, sometimes, we have to go to MVP because the stars aren't aligned. But when they're aligned, you will get to business development, you'll get your new product version 0. And then you've got all the other stuff like for existing products. Okay, what's next? I think we might be halfway through. Right, getting to what we would love takes time. So I think there's a couple of things like, I think Letitia said, finding the right moment for stuff to come out or to show your idea for ideas to come out. Right, see this page yet? This is from 2012, and this was a proposal. Like if Apple did a TV, what would it look like? This was to excite the executives at Sky. It took 9 years before the Sky Glass TV came out. So nothing was wasted, but it took a long time. So I think for this, if you're working in design, you're trying to innovate. You're always thinking, we're all designers. we're trying to innovate, we're trying to be explorers, we're trying to do all of this stuff, but it takes time. The business is not ready yet. The technology might not be there yet. Oh, this is a classic one. Again, we need to educate the teams on our design process. They don't understand us. They don't understand us. You know, they don't know what they're doing. But you know what the point of friction is? It's this shit. It's like so many processes, so many ways of working. Product, design, like engineering teams. They've got so much stuff. What do? And then what do designers do? Like, we're going to solve this. We're going to solve this. We're going to solve this for the company. And we're going to go one design process to rule them all. And you know what happened? You know, they did that. So the product design teams, you know, we all joined together. We said, we're going to get together, do workshops. We're going to make all of this stuff. We're going to get, we going to workshop it, do loads of sprints and stuff. And you know what happened? What did we get? The double diamond. It just came out, double diamond, a few tweaks. And what's the first thing do you think happened when we presented it? Trick, because this is without understanding the desirability, the viability, and the feasibility, and the fact that product owners need to deliver something. The double diamond or the design process gets pushed out because it's like, actually, we don't need to spend 6 months deciding that we're going to deliver the same thing that we've decided for. So I think this is the conflict and the friction between innovation and delivery. Okay, so we said, like, we showed that double diamond, and then we said, like, one size doesn't fit all. So how do we solve it? We have to ask the question, what design framework's for and who is it for? So you have to think of the design process like a car journey. So it's wayfinding, it's a signpost. I know where I am, tell me where I am, what's coming up. You know, when you know the points that you want to go to, you use the wayfinding. And the directions, the map, this is the thing for designers to go, what do I do? Who do I do it with? Whoops. And governance, this is your sat nav. This is the thing that tells you there's a traffic jam on the way. So it's telling you how it's going. So how does this look? So really, high level, you can map it to everything, just to tell you where you are. You are here. But let's get rid of the language can get quite confusing. So discovery can get quite confusing. So you go, this is what we would love. This is what we want when you get to design. This is what we think we can have. This is what we'll get. And this is at the end of it. Once we delivered it, this is what we can improve. So this is the other layer. This is really just about telling you where you are, but also telling you who you're working with. And then as designers, if you're working on it, you can go into your menu of toolkits or whatever to use at that point. And then this is for the program managers or the person who's putting out the fire, telling you when to do stuff. Okay, stop the ping pong. This is another point of friction, right? Another point of friction. Okay, who's experienced this? My work. So as you're working on something, you're getting craft. My work. You make it pretty. You do everything. You show it to everyone. Say, this is finished. This is done. What do you think happens when you get? You get a little bit of team's feedback, and it's now unfinished. It's now unfinished. So you go back and do your revisions and go, my work is done. It's done. And then you get your team's feedback and it's unfinished again. So, or a CEO might have come in and said, oh, I don't like that color, or something like that, and you go through this. And it keeps going on, this ping pong keeps going on. Actually, and until you explode and go, I can't deal with this anymore. And actually, Matt LeMay talks about this. He talks, right, how do you stop this from happening? And he says, get stuck on purpose, right? Get stuck on purpose. So make mistakes, leave mistakes in there. I know for a designer, you're like, oh, that's a bit much. I'm not gonna put a bad font in there or a terrible color contrast. So how do you get unstuck and shit? So you give them a peek behind the curtain. I think Chris and Gareth talked about giving you a peek behind the curtain. Show early and tell often. and invite them to your world. So like if, we've got the tools now, we've got Figma, we've got MIG, we've got Miro, just get your product owners, your engineers, props them if they don't get them working with you. Cruising squads. You probably might have heard of this before, cruising squads. Spotify did this model. So this is a way of like collaborating with your design, engineering, and product teams. Now, the biggest learning from this, you can't copy it exactly because this is on version 3 now. This is the first. It's on version 3 now. So it's about how do you reduce the friction of working together, but also show behind the scenes. Oh, show behind the scenes. Yeah, there you go. So show how the magic works. All the work that's gone in to creating capabilities or exploring capabilities before you actually go into the product design. Concept to code. Yes, get it to code as quickly as possible because that means it's starting to feel more real. It might not go live, it might not become a product, but get it to code. So then you've, as I can't remember who said it, you've got it there. You've got it ready to go. Record, document, and share. So if a tree falls in the wood and no one's around, does it make a sound? And how does that apply to the friction? Well, you need to tell people what you do because you work like designers. We work really hard. We sometimes work at the beginning of the process, and then when it goes out at the end, nobody sees you, right? So you need to work. You work really hard, and you're invisible. So find opportunities to show and demo and tell everyone what you do. So this is an open house, which we did over 3 days with the product engineering and design teams. So every single product that we worked on, we demoed it, new stuff, and designers spoke about it to everyone. Engineers also did it, tag teamed with product. So they're all together working on it. And we had over 150 people go through. So this is a great opportunity to see inside the workings and actually give designers the opportunity to talk about their work. Be social. So find the channel to share all the work that you've done. So and this is a bit meta because this is kind of what I'm talking about. Right. No, it's not finally. Oh, right. How long have I got? What's the time left? Okay, cool. Right. Platforms, tools, and things. Right. The work to make work easy. Right. So you need to do a lot to make work easy. So we've built up a design system over a couple of years. Now it's really, really robust. So this is reusable design. The benefit of doing this, it's now powering a lot of other tools, right? So it's not just the designers with toolkits and libraries. It's powering a lot of other tools, like this tool, which is called Kraken. So it's stream. Like the design team used to get hundreds of requests for marketing mockups, right? And when you're doing these every day, it takes about 2 to 3 hours because you've got to change those images in the tiles, right? And then the marketing person might say, "Oh, can you change it for a different image?" And then there's another 3 hours because you've got to find them, you've got to source them. So this tool, powered by the design system, helps you to create mockups really, really quickly. Oh, I can't probably close this off without talking about obviously generative AI and how it's helping the production. And I think this is the hours I used to spend cutting out stuff of magazine work manually. It's just so you can now focus on the things that you really need to, the innovation, the whatever. Disclaimer: this presentation was created in AI, or some parts of it were. Some parts of it were. Yeah. Right. Lastly. I know you're dying for drinks and everything now. You're going, I can see. Yeah. Right. People, culture, right? That's the most important part, right? If nobody likes each other, you're not going to work together. But also, I'm going to talk a little bit about the designer's many hats. So in modern design teams now, you could be a UI designer hat, you have this UX designer hat, UX researcher hat, prototype hat, manager hat, or a unicorn, everything. But then on top of that, what else do you have? You have recruitment, onboarding. You have all of the things that aren't the craft of design. get design ops. Design ops are agents of change. They can take that pressure off your team. If you're big enough to do it, or if you feel desperate like you need it. Take a pulse, right? So reflect and recognize, right? So what did you do this year? What are my highlights of this year? What would you change, right? It's so cathartic. We did it at the end of last year, just before the reviews, the team reviews, your personal reviews. And this was great because the whole team said, oh, I didn't realize I did all that. Tap into passion. So, right, we know that we want to be innovative. We know that we want to build rapport with all our teams, but give the opportunity. So this is a design days where we got together and we got to play with Lego. Like the team got to play with Lego, and the theme was to create a virtual pet, and then at the end of it, do a Dragon's Den. Does anyone know what Dragon's Den? Yeah, you got up and present this to the rest of the team. So it's a good way to get the creative juices, build the bonding, make people feel happy, energize them. Okay, so I'm wrapping up now. Not long. Right, amplifying design, reducing friction, easing pressure. So be the squeaky wheel. Let people peek behind the curtain. Work to make work easy. Design ops are agents of change. Think like a scientist. Steal, adapt, repeat. Thanks.